Back in time, trees were worshipped, held supreme in wonder and awe. They stood in one place but grew. They did not eat but lived, changing with seasons, springing to life from the dead, bearing fruit, even feeding others. And then there was one like no other. It bore fruit many times a year. Fruit that split to reveal a brown seed encased in red. A nut and its lacy covering. This is the story of the two spices that grow together. Nutmeg is jaipal and mace javitri, two spices that look and smell very different, but they come from the same fruit, grow as one, together on the same tree. The brown nutmeg and the orange mace, its protective covering, both enclosed in a fleshy fruit. Nutmeg is not really a nut, it is a seed, and mace the protective aril around it, both growing together on nutmeg tree. The medium-sized evergreen Myristica fragrans of the Myristicaceae family, the nutmeg family. Nutmeg and mace, desired since ancient times.
Myristica fragrans, इसमें दो अलग अलग चीज़ें मिलती है, एक है जायपत्री और एक है जायफल। जायपत्री का स्वाद अलग है और नट का स्वाद अलग है। जायपत्री थोड़ा स्पाइसी, थोड़ा सा एरोमेटिक है और नटमेग जो नट है वो स्वीट टेस्ट देता है।
It's the smell of Christmas, warm and festive. The dull brown nut has the power to lift our spirits.
जायफल कोई चीज में आप डालो तो पूरा घर महक जाता है, दिल बहलाने वाली खुशबू।
A heartwarming duo that makes an ordinary meal extraordinary.
बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट है जायफल या जावित्री को एक्सप्लेन करना। मैं स्मेल लेती हूँ, मुझे एक अरोमा आता है, मुझे एक भीनी भीनी खुशबू आती है।
Fragrance and taste hard to describe. Words fail.
Even this much of quantity is enough to give it a superb flavor and taste.
Myths hold stories of faith and charm. Our nutmeg story begins with one. Warrior sage Parashuram, known for his knowledge and anger. When he threw his battle axe to claim a piece of land from the sea, Kerala was born. God's own country, the state where rain is born. Our nutmeg and mace trail extra special. We are in Kochi, the queen of the Arabian Sea, the very heart of the Indian spice land. It's early June, nutmeg season. The monsoon due any day. The air laden with thick moisture, the heat oppressive, dark clouds heavy with rain. On the outskirts of Kochi is Kochumudi, our destination, a very special nutmeg farm owned by an award-winning farmer family. The genome savior, Jose Matthew. His cultivation practices applauded, awarded.
Actually, last 10 years nutmeg is with me, with my pleasure, with my happiness and everything is nutmeg. Last 10 years. Actually, the price is also going up. That's the reason.
Rubber trees being tapped on either side. It's the nutmeg we walk to. The yellow fruit has already split, and peeping out are the aromatic duo. Each tree laden with fruit, hanging in bunches, ready to be picked. It's extremely hot. The women appear used to the humidity, focused on the job at hand. It's the ripe split ones they look for. Their hooks aim and catch. The buckets filling up fast. The color a bright red. The seed inside a shiny brown. The size way bigger than what we normally see. The color very different from what we use. Each fruit has to be picked individually. The ground is rich and moist, receiving the fruit with a soft thud. This farm is renowned for its high-yielding trees.
From all the world, the visitors are coming here and to see how nutmegs are growing and everything. From Germany, Grenada and Vietnam.
Nutmeg is not native to India. The spice tree, known to have originated in the rainforests of the Molucca Islands, now in Indonesia. The name Molucca comes from what the Arab traders called the region, Jazirat al-Muluk, the island of the kings, the Spice Islands. Their lure had the world in a tizzy, tempting Europeans way beyond their boundaries, driving the age of discovery of continents, new routes, and to colonization. On our discovery of nutmeg, time to see what happens next. The fruit has been plucked off the tree. The crimson mace wrapped around the hard, fresh seed. The whole fruit has a pleasant, pungent smell. If the spice has to get a good price, there can be no shortcuts. A good wash to clean it thoroughly. Spices demand attention. Their value lies in their pungency and flavor. Step-by-step work necessary to keep them spicy and prevent them from going bad. A little twist separates the mace intact. Easy to understand that it was called the flower of nutmeg in France. While 70 to 80 nuts are enough to make a kilo, it'll take about 350 mace to weigh that much. A few days in the sun will dry the nuts. But these are the rainy months and sunlight is a luxury. As the nuts dry, the seeds shrink away from the seed coat. They will rattle when dry. The seed kernel inside, the areca nut lookalike, is our spice.
ये सीड जब ही डेवलप होता है किसी भी फ्रूट में, तो ओवरी के आजू बाजू में कुछ सेल्स होते हैं जो उसके प्रोटेक्शन के लिए रहते हैं. इसके बाद डेवलपमेंट जो होगा वो उसके सीड के प्रोटेक्शन के लिए होगा, और इसलिए ये जावित्री उस सीड के ऊपर पूरी तरह से कवर कर देती है.
Mace, the aerial, protects and lures the birds for dispersal. Unlike nutmeg, here it is not dried in the sun but in a special heated chamber. Mace, Javitri, Jaipatri, an aromatic and intense spice, readies to reach spice racks. As the scarlet areoles dry, their color fades, but their aroma develops. The aroma of a spice that was a symbol of beauty and romance. According to Taitraiyee Samhita, nutmeg was one of the ingredients poured into the sacred fire when a wedding was performed. In the 7th century AD, Bhartrhari wrote, robed like a passionate girl, diffusing the fragrance of flowering nutmeg. The spice in love potions and spells, used by the royalty as an aphrodisiac. In Rome, men tucked a nutmeg in their left armpit to attract admirers. Our spice trail in the city of spices and lottery. On the banks of River Periyar stands Kochi, the wholesale market of spices, always busy and bustling. Small farmers and individuals sell their seasonal produce directly. Each wholesaler an expert. This is the season of areca and nutmeg.
You see, you feel like nowadays the rates are gone up very high, but for the farmers, what they get is very low. The labor they are putting it, that's very huge, and you can see none of the farmers are traveling in a Benz car.
Nutmeg and mace may not be cheap even in today's times, but they are abundant. Unlike yesteryears, when they were so rare, so sought after, that they defined richness and power. When Black Death, plague, threatened to wipe out populations, people turned to nutmeg for protection. Wearing it in amulets and round their necks, in the hope of defying death. Nutmeg was imagined as possessing magical powers, a protection against evil. It was the desire to get to its source that made Europeans sail to faraway lands. When the Dutch finally reached Moluccas, they captured the nutmeg trade. Their greed so great that they bathed the seeds in lime before selling them. They wanted no trees growing outside their control. Trees beyond their boundaries were hacked. Nutmeg meant power and wealth. But nutmeg travelled, and humans learnt. By the 19th century, nutmeg was growing in India. It came to be known as the lazy man's crop. But there's nothing lazy about what is happening in many nutmeg cultivations today. In their efforts to get better yields, farmers are developing techniques, acquiring skills and knowledge. Nutmeg, being dioecious, offers its own set of challenges.
नटमेग में फीमेल प्लांट्स ही फल दे सकते हैं. इसमें 5 अलग अलग टाइप के प्लांट्स मिलेंगे. मेल प्लांट्स मिलेंगे, फीमेल प्लांट्स मिलेंगे. बाइसेक्सुअल प्लांट्स मिलेंगे, बाइसेक्सुअल मेल, बाइसेक्सुअल फीमेल। और इसके लिए फार्मर्स हमेशा ये ढूंढेंगे कि उनके पास फीमेल प्लांट्स बहुत ज़्यादा हों।
Farmers want daughter trees. 9 female trees to 1 male tree is the desirable ratio. Till a decade or so ago, farmers had to depend on luck, but no longer. At the nursery, the budding expert is skilled at ensuring female trees, mixing and matching traits, ensuring high-yielding early fruiting. The grafting and air layering technique ensures female trees and good fruiting.
ജാതിക്ക കൊണ്ടുള്ള ഗുണം എനിക്ക് തൊഴിലുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ അതുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ കുടുംബം പോറ്റുന്നു.
And now, it is even possible to convert a male tree into a female one with the help of early intervention. The evergreen tree nutmeg. Once it starts fruiting, it continues to fruit for a long, long time. Its spicy fruits, ready to be picked thrice a year, every year. At a farm, nothing goes waste.
We can use the fruit. We can take the juice and we can refrigerate it.
So while the spice is taken for drying, the pulpy fruit is also put to use. The apricot-sized fruit into the pressure cooker. A sugar syrup and a hint of lime. It's a drink made in homes with their own trees. Nutmeg fruit is a luxury for others.
And we can have it for this same problem, indigestion, vomiting, diarrhea, everything like that. It's good for our stomach.
Nutmeg and mace have been prized since ancient years as medicine. Way back in the 1st century, Pliny the Elder wrote about it in his Historia Naturalis. In Indian Vedic writings, nutmeg is recommended for headaches, fever, diarrhea, insomnia, anxiety, even bad breath.
Nutmeg is in vogue from almost 2000 years. It's one of the old spices of Ayurveda. There is something called aphrodisiac requirements. वो उसको milk में मिला के दिया जाता है.
As an aphrodisiac in adults and for children, a soothing remedy for loose motions. In traditional kitchen medicine, a child with a bad stomach sends a mother to nutmeg. Grated fresh and mixed with honey or milk, a lick considered enough to soothe the stomach. This use of nutmeg popular across village and urban boundaries.
एकदम जो न्यूबॉर्न बेबीज़ होते हैं उनको गैस्ट्रिक ट्रबल ज़्यादा होती है, हमेशा होती है, और वो रोते हैं, नींद अच्छी नहीं होती, पूरी नहीं होती. जायफल से ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हल होती है.
Does nutmeg work? If yes, then how? Scientists are understanding the mechanism of action. Nutmeg soothes the intestines and prevents loose motions by promoting reabsorption of fluid in the large intestines. Their antibacterial property tackles the bacteria and infection. What lies inside nutmeg and mace? What are the unique phytochemicals stored in these medicinal spices? Like all spices, nutmeg and mace have a huge variety of molecules, together contributing to their aroma, taste, and medicinal properties. The most important and unique molecule in the essential oil of both nutmeg and mace is myristicin. Myristicin is responsible for its hallucinogenic activity. Elemicin is another unique compound in the spicy duo, and so is saffron.
When you talk about both nut and maize, both has almost similar property chemically in the oil, but nut has a constituent called butter or the fat. Can be used for applying to persons for rheumatic pain. Otherwise, it is not edible because of again a high myristicin.
Nutmeg butter and essential oil. They have wide applications in the field of medicine, cosmetics, perfumes, and confectionery. Can too much of a good thing be bad? Yes, if it's nutmeg and mace. The two spices directly affect the brain.
What nutmeg does is that it affects certain neurotransmitters, cells in the brain used for communication with each other. And what ends up happening is that you have brain areas that are receiving signals from the environment. But when you have all of these psychoactive compounds that are now being artificially put in the brain, all of these sensory areas, they get confused and they're sending signals that are actually not present in the environment, and that's basically what causes you to hear things that are not there, see things that are not there, and that's what you have is a hallucination.
One of the Sanskrit names for nutmeg is Madhushaunda, the fruit that intoxicates. Scientists have found that myristicin and elemicin are the compounds responsible for these actions. The brain function is compromised if too much goes into the system. A warning comes from experts. The after effects of overconsumption are nasty.
So if you take a large quantity, you are going to start having problems with your heart rate, problems with your breathing, and it can actually end up really severely affecting your health. You might end up, being critical because of overconsumption of nutmeg.
Nutmeg and mace, the spicy duo with a rare honor. On the national flag of Grenada is the nutmeg fruit. Grenada, a country in the Caribbean, is the largest producer of nutmeg in the whole world. In India too, nutmeg and mace have been subjects of sustained scientific research. At the field station of IISR near Calicut, nutmeg and mace are being systematically studied, crossbred, researched. All aspects of their agriculture are being improved for the farmers. A large germplasm of nutmeg varieties exists here, a gene pool that aids in developing high-value saplings. A hugely successful variety, Vishwashri, was developed here after a sustained effort of 8 years.
From minimum, we have to produce the maximum. For that, the knowledge of genetics and then bringing the agronomic traits together is essential. That's what we are trying to do in the traditional, normal breeding way.
Traditional knowledge fortified by modern research. Right from soil nutrients to pathogens and their control. Agriculture backed by technology development. Constant interaction with farmers makes this research meaningful. The potential of nutmeg and mace in India immense. The humble nut and the flashy mace. The desirable duo. Two personalities, but with the same core. Revered and used by humans since ancient times. Their place in our spice racks special and unique. For happiness and healing, wisdom lies in their judicious use.
Na 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 na